double up. 3 or 4 times, I ain't telling no lies, I just run it up. Never let a hard time humble us. Double up. I ain't telling no lies, I just, I ain't telling no lies, I just
5, 4, 3, 2, that's time.
What's up with y'all?
Here when he was a little fella, he ended up moving across the interstate, went to that school with the ugly colors over there. And graduated there and then joined the Army.
Yes, sir.
Been in the Army how long, Martinez?
7 years.
7 years been in the Army. Listen
Yes,
to what
sir.
he got today. He's written how many books?
2 books.
2 books. Okay. He's coming back near home, going to be stationed out at Fort Moore at Columbus. And we'll be seeing more of it. Some of y'all that are in ROTC will probably see him come speak to the cadets. And those of y'all play basketball, Coach McCants is going to have him come in and talk to y'all too at some point. All right, let's get, hey, Panther, welcome. Martinez,
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
good. How are you?
I'm good. Appreciate it. Listen, he gave y'all an introduction. I don't really have to say too much more about where I'm from and where I grew up at, but I'll say just a little bit to give y'all some insight. So I was born in the Valley, and then I was living in Lafayette. Then I moved to Lanett. I lived in Lanett for about 2 years. Played football right out here on this field for Coach Phillips a long time ago. And then I moved to the Valley. I never wanted to move to the Valley, but you know, I was a kid. I didn't really have a choice, right? So I played football from the time I was probably 5 or 6 up until the time I got in high school. And then when I got in high school, I'll be honest and say, you know, I lost focus. Even though I love football, I wanted to start hanging out with people who were hanging in the streets, people who were smoking, people who were drinking, right? And so that's not why I'm here to talk to y'all, but I know as a young man, sometimes we get distracted. And those are some of the things that we deal with. Can anybody relate to that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, for sure. All right. So anyway, I quit the team. I started working. My first job was Newt's Fried Chicken. Y'all like Newt's Chicken?
Yes, sir.
Okay, for sure. I used to work at Newt's, right? And then I started working at the Kill plant. Then I started working at Keynote. And then I joined the military. Now, the main thing I want to talk to you guys about today is your work ethic. Because work ethic is very important as a football player, but it's also important as a student or whatever you decide to do in your life, right? So how many people in here, you want to go to college and play ball? Raise your hand. Okay, for sure. And then does anybody in here want to go to the NFL? That was my dream too. And look, I'm not here to tell anybody they can't make it, but I want to tell you guys to have a plan. And whether it's football or college or you want to start your own business, you're going to have to work hard, right? So let me tell you what my definition of work ethic is. So work is defined as like what you do. And even though you all might not be getting paid right now as a high school football player, the work you put in on that field pays off when you get a chance to start or when you score a touchdown or when you get a sack, right? Now, ethic is defined as moral principles or beliefs. So when we combine the two words, I like to think of work ethic as the work that you do that is guided by your moral principles or your beliefs. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. So when I was playing football, before I quit, outside of practice, I put in a lot of extra work. And one of the things I used to do, I would take a football and I would tell my brother and my friends, all of y'all go to the other side of the field, throw me the ball and let me see if I can run the ball back. And I started out, I had 2 people over there and then I could run the ball back against 2 people, no blockers. And then by the time I got in 7th grade, I would tell my brother and 4 of my friends, hey, go to the other side of the field, throw me the ball, and let me see if I can run it back. So back then, I was still stuck on going to the NFL. So I knew that I had to work hard outside of practice, and that was just one of the things I used to do as a football player to try to work harder so that I could be ready when the opportunity came, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, I played defensive back. I played running back from time to time, but I played defensive back. That was my main position. And so as y'all can see now, I'm not a big guy. And I'll tell you that you don't have to be the biggest guy. You don't have to be the strongest. You don't have to be the fastest. But you have to work hard. Am I right, Coach?
You're right.
You have to work hard at whatever you do, right? And so in high school, right before I quit the team, I wanted to make a statement. I wanted to start. I wanted to play. But I also wanted to get a job. Because when the mill closed down, my parents lost their job. We were getting food stamps. They were getting unemployment. and I got siblings, right? So they couldn't really afford to get me the Air Force Ones that I wanted or the Jordans that I wanted. They couldn't afford to buy me a car. So even though I love football and I was about to quit the team, my last day, I shut down every receiver on the field. They were all bigger than me. But because of the work that I put in on the field and off the field, when the opportunity came, I was ready. Now I quit the team. I didn't finish out high school playing. And like I said earlier, I started to get distracted. I was hanging in the streets, I was smoking, I was drinking. So what do you think was the thing that saved me from getting stuck in the streets? Well, not just that, but my work ethic, right? And the reason I say that is because I quit the football team. I realized that when I didn't have that structure, when I didn't have that practice, I needed to do something else to fill my time, right? So I got a job. But then I was working and I was like, man, you know, I want to do more than this. I graduated high school. I'm like, man, I thought I was going to the NFL. Well, that didn't work out. You know what I'm saying? Because I quit. So then I kept working and I kept working. Then I joined the military, right? So we got some people in here who played college ball. You got your coach here. He been coaching football for a long time. Whether you're playing football, whether you're working, whether you're in the military, whether you're coaching, you have to have a strong work ethic, right? So for you all, how many of you all, every time you show up, you work to the best of your ability? Be real with me, raise your hand. Every time you show up, you do everything to 100% best of your ability. All right, so I see a lot of hands that are not raised right now. So that's something that we need to think about, because when y'all play another team throughout the season, it's going to be a lot of guys who fast. It's going to be a lot of guys who can catch. It's going to be a lot of guys who talented. But what do you think separates one man from another when they both have the same skill set? They work ethic, right? So every time you come up in here in this gym, you need to be putting in work. If coach tell you, hey, we squatting today, we doing 5 sets of 10, on your off time or in your spare time, you need to come back and get an extra set. Because guess what? If the other team out there doing 5 sets of 10 and y'all doing 5 sets of 10 and they running 10 sprints and y'all running 10 sprints, somebody got to put in some extra work, right? Right? All right, so let me talk about the military a little bit. And then I'll finish up with this speech. I'll give y'all time for some questions. And then, Coach, I'm going to turn them back over to you. So when I joined the military, just like when I was playing football, a lot of people would tell me, you too small. You can't do this, right? I'm 5'7", man. I'm 145 pounds. Never been big in my whole life. But since I've been in the military, I've been the best soldier of the year out of 5,000 soldiers. Couldn't do it without my work ethic. I couldn't do it by only doing what I was supposed to do in the hours I was working. I had to put in extra time. So for you all, you go to school, you need to make good grades, you need to listen to your teachers, you come in here and practice. But outside of practice, you got to stay focused. You got to put in some extra work. And then on the weekends, you got to stay focused. You got to put in some extra work, because especially those of y'all who said you want to go to college or you want to play college ball, what do you think is one of the biggest differences from a person who was a standout in high school compared to a person who was a standout in college compared to a person who was a standout in the NFL? For me, I think work ethic. I think work ethic is one of those things. You definitely got to be disciplined. You got to stay focused. And then at some point, you definitely going to need some help. That's where your coaches come in at. So for you all, what you need to do every time you show up again, you need to work to the best of your ability. And then let me say this. I spoke to Lanett High yesterday. I spoke to those guys about making good decisions, being obedient when your coach tells you to do something, and then just being ready when that opportunity comes. So in the military, one thing we say is stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So that means every day I'm working. Even if it's raining and coach counsels practice or whatever the case is, y'all need to be putting in work, right? All right? So that's pretty much it, fellas. Work ethic is the main thing that I wanted. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. I seen. If you falling asleep, I ain't gonna make you stand up because you ain't my soldier. But if you was one of my soldiers, you'll be on your feet right now, because that's how I get down in the military. But I appreciate you. Look, that's all I got, man. I wanted to come and talk to y'all for about 5-10 minutes about work ethic. Now I want to let y'all ask me some questions, and then I'll pass it back over to Coach. So does anybody have any questions? Anything? Let me get a couple of them before I call on you. Somebody ask me a question.
What's your rank, Martinez? He what?
I'm a staff sergeant. I'm an E6. I've been in 7 years. I made staff sergeant in 4 years. A lot of people retire at 20 years as a staff sergeant. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just saying that to show you guys that I put in work at everything I do. Great question, Coach. Anything else?
E6 in 7 years, guys, is a big deal. But those of y'all don't remember, my daddy, 22 years in the Army, he retired as an E8 for 22 years.
Yes, sir.
In 7 years, he's already E6.
I've been at E6 for 2 years, so I actually made it at 4.5. Yes, sir. But I get what you're saying, Coach. What you got?
What made you switch your life around?
What made me switch my life around? Easy. My dad did 12 years in the federal penitentiary. My granddad did 20. I didn't want to be the same. No disrespect to them, and I'm not talking down on them, but I'm talking up on y'all, right? I knew that if I didn't make some different decisions, I was going to end up in prison. I didn't want that for my life, right? Great question. Anything else?
You ain't never faced nothing in life that made you want to throw away your work ethic?
Absolutely. So I seen times since I've been in the military where I worked 3 jobs. Cause I know what people tell you. I know what you think. Like, you hear I'm in the military, you think I'm probably making a whole lot of money. Like, now I'm straight. But there was a time when I got divorced, and that was hard for me because I had a daughter, my first daughter at the time. And when my ex-wife and I separated, I had to still provide for my ex-wife and my child. So I had to provide for 2 households. My check wasn't enough. So I started doing Uber on the side. And then I got a job at Walmart on the weekends, work ethic, right? So yeah, I wanted to throw it away because it was like, man, I'm practically working 16, 17 hours a day. And for 3 months straight, I ate beans, chicken, and rice and water. But during that time, I maxed my PT test. I won a leadership award. I got promoted. So sometimes you putting in the work, and I get it. Coach didn't call your number, or coach didn't put you in the game. So you putting in the work, and you might want to throw your work ethic away. You got to keep grinding it out, man. Great question. Anything else? Do I regret playing football? Absolutely not. To be real with you, I wish I had never quit playing, because I grew up with Quay Boyd. If y'all didn't know, your QB coach. And Quay can tell you, I'm not going to say I was better than anybody we grew up with, but did I have some skills? I had some skills. And every time I showed up, Quay was a star. He'd been a star since we was a kid. Every time I showed up, he would pick me on his team, not necessarily because I was the fastest or the skilled, but he knew I was going to put in work, whether it was as a defender or as an offender. But yeah, I don't regret playing football, but I regret that I quit when I did, because I love football. I love it. Any other questions? Let me get one more question. Anything? That's all we got? All right, so let me ask y'all a question. How many of y'all, when I came in here today, you didn't really have the motivation to go out here and give it your all today? Raise your hand. Be real with me. Nobody? Raise them up high. You ain't got to be. Okay, from the time I came in and spoke to you all till now, does anybody feel like they have just a little bit more motivation to go out there and work harder today? That's what I'm talking about, fellas. I did my job. Hey, give yourselves a round of applause. Hey, look, that's all I got, man. Coach has my info. I'll be in town all week. Like he said earlier, I'll be moving back down here in about 2 months, and I plan to come back and speak to you all as much as I can. Only thing I ask y'all to do is stay focused, listen to your coaches, make good decisions in school and out of school, and work hard. That's all I got. Appreciate it, Coach.
Hey. We got this thing that we say.
Yes, sir.
Be elite.
Be elite.
Who can tell him what is elite? How do you become elite? How do you become elite?
Get 1% every day.
Be better today than you were yesterday.
That's good.
And get better tomorrow as you were today.
That's good.
There you go.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach.
Hey, wrap it out. All right, everybody up. Get your seats. Let's go right here.
Yes, sir.
Let's
Yes,
get to be elite with Martinez
Yes, sir.
right here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, come on, y'all.
Appreciate it. Appreciate
We'll
it.
head up to the field. So we'll break it down. Y'all get your shoes on. Hey, everybody in? Yes, sir. Billy on me. Billy on 3. 1, 2, 3. Be elite.